Hello, guys, and welcome to the very first official hurricane outlook and discussion for the year 2020. And today we're going to be going over SSTs, and we're going to be talking about potential tropical cyclone one that just came through and dumped like a foot and a half of rain in Miami and some parts of Florida. All right, so here we are. We are looking at the NOAA Coral Reef Watch sea surface temperatures. These are the exact sea surface temperatures at this current point in time. And as you can see, we got 27s, 28s, we got 29s working up in here. So the Gulf of Mexico is pretty toasty. We also got these kind of anomalies popping up here in the Gulf Stream too. So the Gulf Stream is plenty ready for anything that comes its way in terms of tropical systems. We're also talking about the same kind of thing here in the Caribbean. We got 26, 27s, 28s. We even got a few 29s popping up in here. So you guys know mostly every part of this Western Atlantic is ready to go in terms of sea surface temperatures. But obviously, as you guys know, sea surface temperatures are not the only thing. You got to look at dry air, shear, and all that kind of stuff. So, with that being said, let's move on to the sea surface temperature for the whole of the Atlantic. So, we are talking about temperatures here that are getting up to 26 degrees Celsius, heading far east here and going up far north. And this is kind of this is a scary look, to be honest with you. I do foresee these looks, going farther east and farther north as time progresses. Even more so here in the eastern MDR, where most of these 26 degrees Celsius lines here are about 12 north. So these sea surface temperatures are probably most likely going to be propagating north as we head out through this next several months or so as we head to the heart of the hurricane season, which is that's where we look out for when it comes to MDR action. July, August, September, maybe early October. We're just gonna have to see how these sea surface temperatures are when we get to that point. All right, so now we're talking about the NOAA Coral Reef Watch sea surface temperature anomalies here. And as you guys know, we've had a pretty decent warm up in the MDR, but over the last couple of days or so, there's been some easterly wind bursts here that has caused chaos here with some of these sea surface temperatures as they have been lowering a little bit. But don't let this fool you, because there could be a time, and it could be soon, where we have an extended westerly wind burst that comes in here and rewarms it all back up. So, you never want to take your guard off of the possibility that these sea surface temperatures warm back up in these regions. All right, so here is the sea surface temperature anomalies for the western side of the Atlantic. And you can see here that we're well above normal here in the Gulf of Mexico. There are a few cold spots here by the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, and we got a few coast spots here in the Western Caribbean. But in the up and up, as you can see here, it doesn't really matter at this point because these are all tropical cyclone ready when it comes to sea surface temperatures. As you can see up north, you can see that the subtropics warm pool is really, it's really heating up over there. So this could lead to some instability problems, but a lot of people, a lot of companies, meteorologists are just not seeing this year, as some companies and agencies have predicted a hyperactive season. So we're talking about people that have predicted 180 ace, ceilings of a 200 and something ace. It's gonna be a pretty explosive season by the sounds of things. So you know I don't think this is gonna matter in the long run as we see how much the sea surface temperatures warm up in the eastern MDR section. So here we are. We are talking about the sea surface temperatures in the eastern Atlantic right now, and you can see that we almost got to the 26 degree line here, but it fell short. It fell really short. And now we're on the decline now because we got some easterly wind bursts coming through, and that's what causes the temperatures of the waters to cool down a little bit. Now, granted, like I said, don't take your eyes off of the westerly wind bursts. They can come in at any time and start warming up these waters again. And not only do you have the westerly wind burst that could warm up these waters at another point in time, but you also have the strong wind that's going to be setting up. That wind, westerly African something, uh, that promotes uh, it promotes warming. I'm trying to say. I'm stuck in my words here. Uh, Western African monsoon. Yes, there we go. Anyways, so with that being said, the African westerly monsoon can promote warming of the sea surface temperatures as well as the westerly wind bursts. So now we go here to the anomalies, and you can see that we've gotten pretty much to 4.5 or so degrees above average, and now we're slipping down a little bit because of those easterly wind bursts. So actually, you know what? Let me pull that up real quick and see what we got in terms of what we could be panning out here, and it looks like the westerly wind bursts, or not westerly, but easterly wind bursts are going to continue for at least the next 8 days or so. And then it looks like there could be a period of westerly winds returning in the eastern Atlantic here on maybe the 12th or the 13th time frame. So that's going to be something to watch out for as we head closer to that time period of whether this weakens or strengthens in that time frame. All right, so this is another very important piece of the puzzle here, and this is the Nino 3.4 region. And what this does is, if you have, an Enso, neutral, you're balancing out the shear in both regions pretty much. So if you get a La Nina, that typically favors the Atlantic more than the East Pac, because if you have a La Nina, that sets up the shear factor in the Eastern Pacific and lessens the shear in the Atlantic side. Pretty much what it does, Eastern Pacific pretty much is downward motion, Atlantic upward motion. So that's how it is. And right now, the Enso region is 26.9 degrees Celsius. That is the actual sea surface temperature around that region. So it's warm, but it's still below average, as we will see here momentarily, which we will do right now, actually. As you can see, now we were talking about the sea surface temperature anomalies, and like I said, we're still below average in the Enso Nino 3.4 region, which we're at a value of negative 0.629 degrees, which is still a firm La Nina. It has been weakening, though, as we can see. But I still, feel like this is going to hold. If we do end up going anywhere, it's probably going to be cool neutral, but I still feel like we're going to stay in the La Nina stage as we head through the summer months. And, it should be interesting to see how this all works out going forward. All right, so now the last thing I want to talk about here, actually, there's a few things I want to talk about here, but first, we're going to talk about potential tropical cyclone number one. And this wreaked havoc on Florida, especially in the southern parts of Florida, that brought torrential flooding rains, and it dumped about 15 or so inches on Miami, which is absolutely insane for as fast as this system was moving in some of the, getting closer to Florida. But here we go. We are talking about potential tropical cyclone number one here. It's moving northeast at 18 miles per hour. Minimal sensor pressure is at 1,001 millibars, and the maximum sustained winds are 40 miles per hour. Now, I feel like at 5, they could upgrade this to 45 miles per hour. Actually, it's 441. They may have updated it already, so let's take a look. Yes, there we go. 5 p.m. update has come out, and we are now at 45 miles per hour because that's what Recon found. So there you go. It upgraded the 5 miles per hour right in front of your eyes. So this thing is off the coast of Florida now, as you see here, the X. Let's see what they have to say with the forecast cone. They expect this to turn into a tropical storm overnight tonight. So we're gonna have to see how this plays out here as we head out through the next couple of days. But if this forecast does plan out, we could be talking about tropical storm Alex. So that is the first name on the list. We're gonna have to see what happens when we get to 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. Speaking of, let's take a look at it on the GFS. This was initialized at 12Z today, and as you can see, this thing is a complete, utter mess. And it was a complete, utter mess for Florida, too. Like I said, torrential rains. It was not a good look whatsoever for the state of Florida. So as we go out through time, it still fights to find one singular center here. So you can see that, there's two competing vert maxes here. And not to mention, you got the shear that is screaming on this thing, like 38 knots of shear. But because it's moving with the shear Victor, and you might want to deduct like 15 knots from that, which is still pretty meh. It's still pretty meh. It's like 23 knots or so. I hope I'm getting that right because I'm not too versed in how the shear Victors work and how systems that move with it, affect the shear. But if I'm wrong on that, please somebody tell me, and I'll remember, to fix that the next time. Anyways, but the relative humidity here is pretty all right, and and the GFS doesn't really do much with it, but it seems like the NHC is pretty confident that this is going to turn into a tropical storm as we head out through tonight. All right, so here is the ECMWF, or the Euro for short. This is 12Z anomaly here, or not anomaly, but model here. And the Euro is pretty gung ho with this. It gets it down to 991 millibars. So I don't know if the NHC is particularly I know NHC is following all models. They don't just follow European or GFS. They follow all models. So they're probably looking at the GFS. They're probably looking at the Euro, and they're probably saying, why don't we mix the two together? And that's probably what we got in terms of strength. So we're just gonna have to see how this all plays out once more. And before we go, there's something else that I want to show you guys, and I think we're setting up for another keg event here, and only one way to find out is by going to the 850 millibar level. And as you can see here, in the GFS, we still have westerly wind bursts. So if these westerly winds stay like this, we're definitely setting up for a keg. You can clearly see that these wind barbs rotate around. So the CAG is still in place. So, like I said, if one of these tropical waves interacts with this, it could try to spin up something like it does in the Eastern Pacific, which, now I'm going way too far out. I shouldn't be doing that. But I want you guys to see what I'm seeing. So GFS shows that. We're going to go to 850 millibars here. And you can see clear as day. It's still the westerlies are still in Central America, and as we head out through time, bingo, there we go. They spin back around, just like that. So we could be setting up for another keg tropical cyclone in the Eastern Pacific and maybe the Atlantic a little bit later down the road, we're just going to have to pay attention to how this all plays out. And we're going to go to 120 hours, and you can see that these wind barbs are still rotating around. So it's interesting. We're going to have to see how this all pans out as we head out through the next week or so. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll probably be back again tomorrow with another update for you guys. Until then, thank you guys for watching and have a great day.